Good evening, saints of God. I welcome you today for our third lesson for our School of Prosperity. Yesterday we were touching on a few critical aspects about wise living. We looked at Luke chapter number 15 and we looked at the prodigal son. Prodigal just means wasteful. So the parable is named after the lifestyle he lived, not after his choice to leave his father's place. The prodigal is named after his lifestyle, the prodigal son. He is defined by the way which he lived, wasteful living. And it is imperative and important for times coming and for times ahead that we use today to live wisely. We live wisely today for the sake of preparing ourselves for seasons tomorrow. So it requires positioning ourselves with wise living. So we're going to take it up again from Proverbs chapter number 6, verse number 9 and 11. And Solomon says, "How long will you sleep, O sluggard, or lazy man? How long will you slumber?" Then he says, "A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Then poverty shall come upon you like an armed robber, and desperation or scarcity like a bandit." Now, we must understand that we have a key that Solomon is giving us. But I want us to look at this aspect of being called lazy, and then he is found sleeping. What exactly is Solomon saying? Solomon is talking about wise living. He is giving an illustration to say to the man that the way you live today is being determined by your ignorance about what is approaching tomorrow. The way you are living today is being determined by your unawareness or lack of awareness of what shall be tomorrow. So he's saying you are loving to sleep like this, or you are behaving like this because of the absence of discernment, because of the lack of understanding of what is approaching. And I'd like to put it to you that we can be awake, we can be living our lives, but sleeping. Now, sleep is a separation and it's a divorce from present realities in the natural world. Sleep can be a divorce and a separation, a cutting off from the realities and the activities of the natural world. So when you are asleep, you are unaware. You are ignorant about what is going on outside. The person next to you may be awake if you're sleeping next to someone, and you may be sleeping. But because they are awake, they are aware of what is going on. Someone can wake you up from sleep to say, there's something that happened when you were sleeping. Events can happen whilst you are asleep. Things can happen. Situations, circumstances, life continues whilst you sleep. That's the general analogy of how it is. Even whilst you are sleeping, life is continuing. But in the illustration of Solomon, we are seeing that Solomon is saying, your sleep is dangerous because it is cutting you away from the reality, or cutting you off from the reality of the approaching danger. From the approaching danger. You are being separated from being aware of the approaching danger. So sleep represents also ignorance. Ignorance. Ignorance pertaining future seasons and times. It may not only be about being learned. Not all of us went to school, and it does not always take going to school to be successful. No. We're talking about being aware of shifts and changes that can occur on the earth or in the physical environment where you live, which can eventually affect you if they come and if they happen and you are not ready for their happening or for their coming. So you can be awake but sleeping. You can be awake but you are asleep. And it is the sleeping whom are going to be found victims of the danger of the pending or approaching robber who Solomon describes. Because he says, whilst you are sleeping, whilst you are folding your hands to rest, then suddenly poverty will come, or then your poverty will come like an armed robber. An armed robber always plans his attacks. He always uses stealth. Depending on his level of intelligence, he always tries to use the cover of deception, the cover of a disguise, the cover of the night to attack. The robber will prey on the unaware and on the ignorant. It is very difficult for a lion to hunt down prey which sees the lion coming. It's very hard for a predator in the forest, in the jungle, to hunt down an antelope, an eland, a zebra, which sees it coming. Because in the sight of the prey, when the prey sees rather the hunter coming, the prey is able to position itself to evade the hunter. If we are going to be continually successful and prosperous, we have to have foresight and insight. Foresight and insight. Foresight talks about understanding seasons that are not yet. Insight can relate to both the present and also the future. Foresight is very important. Noah and his family survived the flood because of foresight, and they prepared an ark because they received knowledge of impending danger, and they received strategies of how to escape that danger, so that when the rain came for 40 days and 40 nights, they were safe. They were safe in the ark. Right now, looking at the way you're working, you're fighting hard, you're self-employed, you're pushing your business, you have your career. You don't have to be the person who is only configured and ready to be prospering in a time of peace or comfort. Let me say that again. You don't have to be the person who is only configured, the person who can only prosper in a time of peace and a time of comfort, such that if another season approaches, your whole financial life and subsequently your life changes. You can't be that person. You have to be a person configured to prosper in all seasons. You don't have to be that person who always says, I wish things could go back the way they were, when money was just freely and readily available. When things were well, things were, there was, things were flowing. Takamboita mari. And then what? It means you were not then configured for a future season. And to be configured or to prepare yourself for a future season, it requires foresight. Because in the absence of foresight, understanding future seasons, there is no preparation. You can't prepare yourself for a season that you have not yet understood is approaching. It's very hard. You can't wake up to say, I'm going to build an ark, when you don't know that there's a flood that's going to come. You can't. So one of the greatest advantages in life you can have, even against seasons of financial famine which can come upon a territory or an environment, foresight, understanding of the future. Because when you have foresight, you can begin then to pace yourself. You can then begin to change your lifestyle to match the future season. The advantage that Joseph had, or the advantage that Pharaoh and the Egyptians had, is that even if Pharaoh had the dream, they had an interpreter of the dream who gave them foresight, a warning 7 years ahead of time. In the absence of that warning, Egypt would have been exposed to seasons of upheaval and of struggle. So you need to interpret seasons. You need discernment of seasons. You need that to interpret seasons. You need discernment of seasons to know what is ahead. It may not always happen, but when it happens, it must position you in a moment of advantage. Why? It gives you time to prepare. It gives you time to prepare. It gives you time to ready yourself, that you may remain consistently successful in a different season. So you don't only have to know how to prosper in times of peace. You must know then how to make it in times when your environment may not be conducive to your prosperity. In times when they can say, we have to reduce salaries. In times where there is intense, harder competition to access resources. You have to know how to prosper when the storm is present. Because it is easier to prosper in the 7 years of prosperity than it is to prosper in the 7 years of famine. So Solomon is talking about readiness, preparedness. He says, then your poverty shall come. But before it comes, what have you done that is going to match its coming? Seasons don't always remain the same. Seasons don't always remain the same. There are external influences that can impose upon physical environments. There are external forces which can influence how money flows in physical territories. And in the time of Joseph, it was a famine which hit a certain territory. But God gave them an advantage. 7 years ahead of time. 7 years ahead of time. And they prepared. Now, get this. There is a robber which Solomon is saying is coming, and that robber is poverty, want, scarcity, famine, lack, decreased productivity, decreased resources, decreased harvests. decreased financial supply, decreased incomes. But before it comes, he's talking about sleep, which we referred to as ignorance. Because your awareness will help you to tackle. If you see the robber coming, you prepare. You barricade your house. You prepare your weapons. You ready yourself for his coming, so that when he comes, he will find you very prepared to tackle him. Because the coming of the robber does not necessarily mean victory for the robber. No. He may come, but it does not mean that he should be victorious. He may only be victorious if you are found wanting according to understanding. He may only come and be victorious if you are found wanting according to preparedness for his arrival. Solomon talks about sleep first. That was number one. The second thing he talked about a little folding of the hands to rest. Do you know that there are times when you can get a bit comfortable because you are used to the coming in of a salary? My 2,000 is coming in month end. My 5,000 is coming in month end. Whatever amount it is, it's coming in month end. My business, I know every week I'll make so and so income. Every week I'll make so and so amount. Every week I'll make so and so amount. And you are now used to the turnover of your business. You are now used to know that I work with my own hands. I have a skill, I have an ability. I have my clients who come in this day, this week of the month, they come through. Every month I know I'll always have this amount. And because you have security of present and regular income, you can fold your hands. You are working, but your hands can be folded a little bit. What does that mean? A little folding of the hands to rest. That means entering into comfort mode, entering into relaxation mode, entering into a mode of I can rest now. But that mode is only sufficient for the present time. It's not sufficient for the coming time. Which means, if you are then going to be victorious in the time when scarcity can come, famine can come, poverty as described by Solomon can come, you have to raise your diligence today to match the approaching danger for tomorrow. I hope you're getting that. If you're going to be then victorious against a coming season, it means you have to raise your diligence levels today. Men of God, do you mean I should work harder? I'm going to explain. It means get out of your comfort zone. Get out of the mode of being relaxed. Get out of the mode of being quickly satisfied with your monthly income. Because this is an income which matches the pace of the season. But if seasons shift and seasons change, that income may reduce, and you then may struggle to match the demands of the new season. Why? You never prepared yourself for it. Your hands were folded even though you were working. In other words, if you can do more today, do more. If you can express yourself in the marketplace in different ways so that you generate income and make more money, do so. If you can apply wise decisions concerning finances, which will keep you in touch with always being able to dominate future seasons, then do so. Otherwise, if you fold your hands to rest and you say, I am cool, I have a good job, I am cool with the owner, I am cool with my manager, I'm cool with my boss, I have a contract. If you are always going to be doing that, you will fold your hands and you relax. And you are never then going to put the requisite effort which is needed to tackle the season to come. Ignorance of future seasons does not mean you are an ignorant person. You may be knowledgeable, but you are knowledgeable concerning the present, but ignorant concerning the future. So the decisions that you are making concerning money today are only decisions you are making because of what you don't know. I'll repeat that again. There is a quality level of decisions you are making, or there is a level in terms of the quality of decisions you are making, which is determined by your ignorance of tomorrow and your awareness of today. You are making the decisions you are making because of the fixed costs you have. I have my rent. I have obligations that are consistent. My rentals, I have family obligations. I must send money there, send money there. And the only decisions you are making and the way you are working, the labor you are expressing, you are only expressing enough labor to meet the demands and the obligations you have today, which is fine. All labor must meet our needs. It's fine. But wisdom, Solomon is saying, wisdom is being prepared for a future season. And this is where many may be lacking. This is where many may be lacking. Because the absence of your agency is determined by your knowledge or by your ignorance. It may not be an urgent matter for you to develop another stream of income. It may not be an urgent matter for you to develop yourself skill-wise, knowledge-wise. It may not be to you. Why? It's because you are ignorant of the seasons ahead. The season of famine has its own demands. In chapter 6, Proverbs, verse 6 to 8, what does the ant do because of the approaching season of winter? The ant gathers its store in summer. It gathers food to store in summer. The Easy English version then clearly explains, or it adds, that it's an act of gathering in preparation for the winter season. So the way it is behaving is according to knowledge. Right now you may be saying you are working hard, but you are working hard according only to knowledge of the present, not knowledge of the future. You are working hard. Yes, you're working hard. But according to knowledge of the present, not knowledge of the future. So diligence and hard work it has to be subjective. To which season? According to which season? According to which demands? Is it the demand of the present or the demand of the future? This is where we have to be wise, children of God. To look and see and recognize that the income I have today, at whatever level it is, 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 the income level which you have is a gift. But when you have received that gift, what are you doing with it today? Are you following or are you going or are you following the core of consumption of all, neglecting tomorrow? Because how you also use money is determined by your awareness of what is coming tomorrow. What you receive financially as a harvest for your labor, it must never fail to communicate with your future. Which means victory against poverty tomorrow is won today by the decisions which you make. Victory against a season of famine tomorrow, you win it today by the decisions which you make. The quality of the financial decisions you make positions you for victory against a negative season tomorrow. Who says you cannot win in negative seasons? Because if you are Noah, you can end up focusing on the flood more than on the ark. Yet it is the ark which has the victory over the flood. So when I'm talking like this, don't be too bound on the terminology of negative season, the terminology of famine, the terminology of hard time or scarcity. Be focused on victory today, which will give you victory tomorrow. Be focused on wise decisions today, which will position you for victory tomorrow. Be focused on understanding what you need to do today to create an ark which you will float on tomorrow. Simple. Because if you are caught up on a negative aspect or on words, and you only look at that, you are never then going to be able to truly operate by wisdom, which is required by the approaching season. You then need to look at yourself, my son. You need to look at yourself, my daughter. How are you living your life? How are you operating concerning finances today? It needs wisdom because there are future seasons. You can't be sleeping. Number one, it means don't be ignorant. Number two, your ignorance will cause you to fold your hands because you're going to say all is well. Things are going to continue like they are. The economy can continue like it is. The industries will continue as they are. Globally, things will not be shaken. Things will remain as they are. So as they are, why do I need to change? I am in a good position. I am just making enough money to live by, to go by. I can pay my rent. I can pay my bills. I can meet my obligations. All is well. I really don't need any extra stress. Yes, that can be fine. But that's an observation which is based only on awareness of today, never on awareness and understanding of what is required tomorrow. Because your diligence level today and your awareness level today may not be enough to meet and to match the future season. I'll say that again. Your diligence level today, your awareness level today may not be enough to meet the future season. So what do? You use today to position yourself for victory tomorrow. You use today to position yourself for victory tomorrow. In Matthew 24:43, Jesus says that, Matthew 24:43, Jesus says that if the good man of the house knew what time or when the thief is coming, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. He's talking about readiness here, even though he's talking about his coming, but the principle remains the same. There is a way Jesus is saying, guys, you must be ready for my coming. But if you are ready for my coming, it's expressed in your lifestyle, which means preparedness for future seasons is reflected in my lifestyle today. I use today to win tomorrow. I use today to win battles tomorrow, because it is the prepared who have a strong and a solid foundation to win in tomorrow's seasons. It is those prepared for tomorrow. It is those prepared for tomorrow who have a solid foundation to prevail against or in future seasons. King Saul thought David was going on a suicide mission when David said, I want to fight Goliath. Then David had to give him his CV of preparedness, and he had to tell him, I watched over my father's flock, and when a lion came and took a lamb in its mouth, I would hold it by the mane and strike it and kill it and take the lamb out of the sheep, the lamb out of its mouth. When the bear came, I would strike the bear and kill it. My God has given me victory over the lion and the bear. That same preparedness he had, it was easy for him to tackle Goliath. It was easy for him to kill Goliath. Because when you have victory against predators, what more a human being? David knew, I have fought against more dangerous. I have fought against animals which seek for blood, which don't kill for war, but they kill to eat. I am prepared. When Goliath came for him, it was an easy victory. It was an easy victory. He knew the strategy, he knew what to use, he knew the approach. He knew the approach. What is the approach you are going to use for future seasons? It has to be based on preparedness. Preparedness, preparedness, preparedness. You have to be prepared for future and for coming seasons. Because the danger of financial shakings, which can happen at a global scale or at a national scale or a continental scale or at a scale of a regional block scale, the danger of that is poverty doesn't openly present itself. It hides behind seasons to manifest without, it seems as if it manifests without warning, but it hides behind certain events to find ground for manifestation. It hides behind events, it hides behind situations, it hides behind circumstances. It can hide behind natural disasters. It can hide behind plagues, as we have seen. It can hide behind political shakings. It can hide behind economic crashes in countries which are seen as where most of the other countries depend on for economic stability. If the currency crashes there, everyone else begins to feel the effects of that economic crash around the world. So why famine or why poverty is dangerous, lack, scarcity is dangerous, because it hides behind events. It hides behind circumstances. Who would have known that arresting one person would cause massive financial loss for many? Just one person being arrested causes massive financial loss for a sector, for a region, for a certain territory, certain province. Effects being felt all over. It impacts on national GDP. It impacts on provincial GDP. On a micro level, it impacts on businesses, costs they've incurred, losses they've incurred. Some people are starting from the ground. If they will have power to start, if they will have resources to start, again, one event, just one event, a decision, a certain man must be arrested. A week later, someone no longer has a business. Why? Because when scarcity or famine or poverty comes, it pushes ahead a certain situation, a certain event. It hides behind events. And it is hiding behind events. It then suddenly manifests. But who had foresight? It's a lesson we can learn from, and it fits in right well with the theme of why I have to engage you on this platform, to teach you, to give you the word of God, to give you wisdom. How we can prepare, how you can prepare, it can be a personal matter. I will share my wisdom, I will share God's wisdom rather as we go. But we are starting foundationally to building up on how to deal with seasons and times of famine. Identifying its coming is the first step. Being aware. Because when we are aware, we begin to change. We begin to change how we make decisions. Begin to ready ourselves, position ourselves, express ourselves more in the marketplace. Why? There's an enemy we must tackle. And when he comes, he will find us prepared. When he comes, he will find you prepared. So tomorrow, we'll continue on this path of understanding how poverty hides behind events, situations, circumstances. We may look at some practical events which have happened in the world, in history, and we learn from them as we continue to flow. But for now and for today, I believe this is sufficient as I've been led. This is sufficient for now. Tomorrow, we'll break it down more. As we have ended, we'll continue from there. The stealthiness, the robber-like approach, thief-like approach of scarcity and of famine, hiding behind events and circumstances. Where there was peace, suddenly something can change. Where there was comfort, suddenly something can shift. And in those shiftings, there's something which comes right behind those shiftings, and it puts people in a situation where it draws all their resources away from them and puts them in a time of dryness. But this shall not be the portion of the children of God. God bless you. I pray for you in the name of Jesus. May wisdom and understanding be delivered and be given unto you as the word, as the teachings descend into your heart, your mind, your ears, your spirit. Be enlightened, be strengthened, be empowered, be helped. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I pray for your understanding. May it be empowered to have foresight of coming seasons. May your understanding be empowered to have the insight of what to do today. We shall give you victory tomorrow. The Lord give us understanding in all things. May the Lord continue to preserve you. God bless you. It shall be well with you. Amen.